welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Update. Viewers, we are continuing our conversations on our special extended GMT this morning as we speak to a lot of the matters that are happening within the space, the police investigations into the THA, as well as the sitting happening in just about an hour and 15 minutes. We are being joined on the line right now by Mr. Gary Griffith, who is a former commissioner of police, as well as the political leader of the National Transformation Alliance. Good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you?
Hi, good morning. Always a pleasure to be on with you.
Certainly appreciate it. Now, getting straight into it, Mr. Griffith, there's been a lot of calls or a lot of statements saying that the police is being weaponized against the THA. Now, so based on the information that you have, based on your observations, would you say that?
Well, it is the right of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, if there's a matter that requires some degree of investigation, I will always ask the country to allow them to perform their duties. Having said that, the concern I have is the blatant double standard, because you have a situation like this, and it is an audio message. But if it's an audio message, as a previous commissioner of police, if it's an audio message and the person has admitted what he said, then I don't understand the need for seizing documents and files and phones. It can give the impression that this is a witch hunt to see what else you can find. And it is not the first time this has been done. When they had the situation with the firearm situation, they were raiding places, going to firearm dealers, 20 and 30 police vehicles, tracker dogs, everything under the sun. All that was missing would have been battleships and helicopters. And it can give the impression that it is based on political manipulation to embarrass the individual. We have seen it before with the PNM. 25 years ago with Basdio Pandey, the man was an opposition leader and he had 20 vehicles pulled up to issue the warrant to him. So I think it is inappropriate. It is overkill. If it is the person has already admitted what it is he said, the onus now is whether it is an ethical or criminal matter, and to ascertain whether it is that funds would have been misappropriated, and if it is that persons were actually utilized in such a manner. The sad thing about this is that we are seeing something almost identical that is presently taking place, because we have someone who's a communication advisor for the Ministry of Finance. She was paid 30,000 plus a month for the last 2 years. We have not heard her make one statement on behalf of the Ministry of Finance. What we do see is that every single day she's a social media activist with a propaganda campaign to say things against the opponents of the government, which is identical to what this investigation is about. In fact, she actually had to apologize for lying. That is how serious it is. So you actually have a situation where someone is paid by the Ministry of Finance, and there was no procurement process. I still challenge them to show what qualification she has for such a position. And it is so that is factual, and there's no concern about that. But here there's someone who says, well, maybe we should do something. And you put everything under the sun to investigate this. The other aspect of the hypocrisy and the double standard is that the exuberance and the excitement for the police to investigate this matter, there's nothing even remotely close with the matter with Brent Thomas, where it is that we know for a fact that a government official would have approved the police to go to Barbados, because the police cannot leave our island unless there's approval by the government. So the government lied again to the country by stating that they are not aware of it. Somebody would have given approval. No investigation is taking place with that. The court stated that the police officers involved in that should not be in the police service at this time whilst this matter is ongoing. Those same officers in the PSB, they are still there. And then we have the situation with the Blissy Prasad investigation, where I show the documents as it is fact that Blissy Prasad did not adhere to the law. She broke the law because the other 3 Police Service Commission members never withdrew the merit list or suspended a commissioner of police. Yet they have refused to investigate that. And my final point is McDonald Jacob, whether based on incompetence or deliberately trying to cover for people, said, well, we can't investigate because nobody reported it as a crime. Nobody reported this matter as a crime. So it shows the stupidity of McDonald Jacob at the time, refusing to investigate clear-cut matters to show that a law was broken. So I think in this situation, again, with your warrant being issued, it has gone into total overkill. I am not in any way stating that this matter should not be looked into. But again, the hypocrisy and the double standard in comparison to the other matters that are not being touched by the police, that could cause the perception that there's some arm in the police service that is being politically manipulated.
Now, as you talk about hypocrisy, there was also the allegation from Chief Secretary Fali Augustin when he did admit that it was his voice on the audio recording. he did also say that the recording was obtained through possible illegal means, that the rooms that they might have been in may have been bugged. And we're not seeing that side of the argument being investigated. We're also not seeing the allegations of blackmail, because the chief secretary also said that this was as a result of contractors trying to blackmail the THA, threaten the lives of THA members into paying them outstanding bills for things done under the previous administration, which are now currently under an audit.
Yeah, correct. And again, goes back to my point. So I am not saying that the police should not look into this. By McDonald Jacob making the stupid statement to say, well, unless somebody reports it as a crime, you can't investigate. That shows ignorance on the part of him, which is why he was removed. But again, in this situation, you're seeing the double standard. You're seeing the hypocrisy. So those matters you just spoke about, the police should have the same type of excitement and exuberance to investigate those matters of if it is that someone illegally tried to intercept someone, if it is that there was some degree of blackmailing or bribery that is taking place. Where are the same warrants? Where's the same action and excitement to get these things done? I can tell you there was someone who's an elderly lady who was there in the firearm department, and she was there to make sure everything was done properly because I was aware of corruption and I was putting an end to it. And when they had this situation, they assigned 70 police officers in the last 2 years to go on a fishing expedition to see whatever you could find pertaining to firearms. They sent 20 police vehicles all over her street, and for several hours, embarrassed her, seized the phones of her husband, and her neighbors watched her. She couldn't get another job for a while. And then after 2 years, they had to return everything because there was never anything. It was all a lie, but the damage was already done. And could this be very well the same situation that is going to take place here? I think it is very inappropriate, the double standard and the hypocrisy. This is a very serious situation, because if there is a perception that there is some degree of political manipulation into the police service, it gives the situation now that this country is now in a police state, which is why it goes back to my situation with the Prime Minister. I realized that the government wanted to control the police service. You're trying to tell me to arrest persons during COVID in breach of their constitutional rights, to arrest them in their homes. You were wrong, and you upset with me because I did not want to arrest people, and again, that would have been breach of my rights as a commissioner of police to have done the wrong thing. Then you inject $45 million into the police account, tell me to appoint these attorneys and to make sure they investigate these matters to ensure that these political opponents could possibly be arrested. Which other country in the world could still have a government like this? Any other government in any developed country would have collapsed based on these things. So what is happening now is the government realized that, listen, we could keep doing the same thing. And as Imwood said, they haven't rioted as yet. And this is not for us to riot, but it's for us to send us a loud and clear message that this government has now become is now controlling arms of the police service. And that's a dangerous precedent, because today it is me, tomorrow it could be you. Any one of you all in Trinidad and Tobago could be a target of politicians who are directing certain police officers to target anyone who is opposed to the government.
Now, Mr. Griffith, you've been on the ground quite a bit in the last few weeks as you campaign for the local government election. What is the reaction on the ground towards what's happening in Tobago?
Well, there's not much talk about Tobago as it pertains to being on the ground. I have walked the hills of Cocorite, Laventille Road, Nelson Street, Duncan Street, George Street, Paramin, in the hills, Sealots, Beetham, Maloney, Trinity, Point Fortin, San Fernando. Everywhere you go, what you're hearing, because remember, this thing just popped up recently. So for the last few weeks before that, I've been walking, and the major concern you're hearing in the country is crime. You're hearing their concern about crime. You're hearing their concern that the police, certain arms of the police service is now being controlled by the government. The vetting unit is another typical example of the government wanting to have their own little mongoose gang to be in control of the police service, to investigate and to target opponents of the government. So that has been the main concern. The democratic dictatorship that we are seeing in this country, the incompetence by the government, the failure for them to deliver, the absence of all those places I called as PNM Heartland, they have never seen the political leader of the PNM in any of those areas in 50 years. And they've seen me as another political leader in those places. They've seen total absence of the councillors since 2019. And now they're seeing the councillors 4 years later asking them to have them go back into office. So, and that is why it is that the Prime Minister is getting a meltdown where his every single comment now is Gary, 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 because he is concerned that obviously he may lose certain hardcore areas belonging to the PNM, and that signals the beginning of the end. The same way he was totally rejected by Tobago, the local government may very well show the same thing in Trinidad. And that is why when it is you do this, the PNM's mantra has always been, we are incompetent, we are inefficient, but them thief. They corrupt. And that's what he's doing now. They are trying to utilize all of the resources of certain persons. And do not be surprised that one or two of government or opposition's members may very well be arrested just before the election. It would be comical because they actually believe by doing that, it would cause people to say, yes, so I'll vote for the PNM. That is a very serious state of affairs. This situation in Tobago is no different. Again, I state, if it is that the individual already made his comment, what does he need to seize phones and all of that? He already said it is true. That what you need to ascertain now whether payment was actually made, whether it is that that individual actually started operating in that manner, and if that individual did not operate in the manner where they were appointed to do the role and function based on them being paid by taxpayers. That is all that needs to be done. So seizing phones and files and documents and bringing sniffer dogs, it is unbelievable. It makes no sense. This is not a banana republic. And again, it goes back to my concern that all of this you're doing, why didn't you do the same thing in the Brent Thomas matter? Why haven't you put some degree of interest in the investigation with Blissy Prasad when we know for a fact she broke the law and you have refused to even question her? Because the concern, let me tell you the concern on that Blissy Prasad matter. If it comes up, this could be dealt with in a week. The 3 other Police Service Commission members resigned in disgust. Nobody in the media asked them why, but they resigned because of political interference. They never withdrew the merit list. They never gave approval. They never gave approval to suspend a commissioner of police. So if somebody did it using a letterhead, she has broken the law. That is misbehavior in office and treason. And if she is questioned, she may very well admit what influencer to do that is based on someone harassing or intimidating her. And that individual could also be arrested. So the police have kept their hands off on that. But they are rushed to Tobago, went across to Tobago en masse to be able to check on an audio message where it is that to ascertain whether a law may have been broken.